Soji. Anybody, we know the carry body. I can't something, I can't something. Tobata fele fele, I can't something.
Hello, my beautiful people. How are you guys doing today? So, you know I'm back, and this video I'm going to talk about whether you should take a gap year or not. And I think it's a bit different from the post-bac decision video because deciding to take a post-bac is more from a perspective of classes and academics and determining your competitiveness numbers-wise for GPA, versus I think gap year is more of figuring out, do you want to take a break before going to medical school? Do you want to explore other things outside of college? And like kind of this is more, I think, explorative for like your own self, meaning possibly for academics, possibly for extracurriculars, but it's more just kind of like, you know, should you wait to go to medical school? That's basically the question. That's what a gap year is. Gap year is this period of waiting, of like doing something else other than, you know, being in medical school. So let's talk about it. So the first question is, should you take a gap year? And my answer is yes. Yes, yes, yes. You should, like, yes. Like, you can do whatever you want, but yes, you should take a gap year. Everyone should take a gap year. That is my opinion. That is fact. That is truth. I swear. And I think there's many different reasons why you should take a gap year. And one thing I've noticed, and I think one thing that is becoming increasingly common, is people are taking 1 to 2 gap years before going to medical school, or before matriculating anyways. Like, we're seeing the age of matriculants to medical school going up. So instead of it being people who are 22, 23, it's looking like 24, 25, 26. Like, that's the age people are going into medical school now. It's becoming a new normal. I think there are 3 main reasons why you should take a gap year. I think the first reason is for mental health. You need to take care of yourself and your sanity and your brain. What controls everything is our brain. Our brain tells us to breathe. Our brain is what processes our emotions. Our brain is what learns. Our brain is what does everything. And you have spent your whole life in school. You have been in school since K1 up until college, you know, and assuming you did not take, you know, significant breaks in your education, right? You went from preschool to elementary school to middle school to high school to college. That's like 18 years of continuous school. So your brain needs to rest. Your brain needs a break from learning. And that is, I think that's healthy. I think that's very healthy and it's very needed. And you need to be able to give yourself time to not be on edge about studying or not always worrying. Because I think you need to be in the best mental state if you're going to start medical school. And if you're going to be resilient through medical school, your brain needs to be ready. It needs to be resilient and it needs to have rest. So that is the first reason. And like, you should always prioritize and take care of yourself. It's major keys. I think the next reason you should take a gap year is because of adult experience. I would like to have said that I thought I was mature when I graduated college, but over the past first gap year, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about adulthood. I've learned a lot about what maturity actually means. And I've learned a lot of things that just I didn't know in college, or that I would have never known if not having adult experience. You are going into a career that requires maturity. To be a doctor, you need to be mature. You need to have had life experience, because you will be dealing with people who you like, people who you don't like, people who will try you. So you need to have real life experience and know how to hold yourself in the real world. And the only way to do that is to take a break from school, is to go out into the workforce and be an adult. And if there's one thing I can tell you, adult life will slap you in the face. It will slap you on the right and left cheek. It will slap you. And I think it is a lot better to learn earlier on in life than to learn a lesson later on in life. For me, I'm thinking, if I didn't do my gap year, if I went straight into medical school, like, the things I know now are even just common things of learning how to pay bills and learning what it means to sign a lease, learning what it means to sign financial contracts, loans, debt, just learning all about that stuff happened after I graduated. I didn't have that knowledge in undergrad, and I would imagine in medical school, there's certain things that may not be in the forefront of my mind just yet because I'm still in school or I haven't fully experienced something, right? You just have a lot of learning to do, and it's best to learn the learning now than when you're coming out of residency and you're like, oh my goodness, is this what the real world is like? Like, you should not be 32 realizing that the real world is hard. It's an easier lesson to learn if you're like 20 something, you know, than if you're like 32. The last reason you should take a gap year is to build a competitive application. So for some people, you need to take time after graduating to either increase your GPA or get more experience or like study for the MCAT or do X, Y, and Z. Like, and your gap year is a time to do that, right? It's a time where you have more freedom to hone in on things that you couldn't focus on in undergrad. Like for me, I didn't have as much clinical experience in undergrad. I had some, but I didn't have as much. And during my gap year, I worked at a clinic. And trust me, I learned a lot, right? I was able to hone in on a clinical experience without the stress of I have to do PSETs or, well, okay, I was doing PSETs for like physics, but like without the stress of being a full-time student. And I think that was really, really important for me and really, really plays a role in my understanding of what it means to be a doctor. Also, you just need time to prepare your application. The application cycle to medical school is a year long, and I am in the belief that you should spend a year preparing your application, like literally doing things to prepare your application and put it together. Like a year before you're applying, you should be thinking about your personal statement, thinking about all the extracurricular activities you've done, thinking about the things that you want to compile together. Take the MCAT if you haven't taken it already. I cannot imagine having to study for the MCAT while being a full-time student. It could never be me. It could never be me. I could not do it. For the people that do it, I literally applaud you and I give you so much respect because I don't know how I would have been able to do well my senior year and still study for the MCAT. Something was going to give. And I found that even with working a full-time job and going to school at night and studying for the MCAT, that was a lot, but I felt like studying for the MCAT was a lot manageable because like my work wasn't like I'm like actively learning. I'm just like doing tasks at jobs. So I'm like doing my work, have a bit of schoolwork, and then I'm able to study. And I feel like that was a really good balance for me. And studying for the MCAT was really hard for me because it requires a lot of self-discipline and like it's very self-directed, and like I don't know if I would have been able to keep a certain level of discipline if I was in college. So use this time to prepare application, you know, build experiences, use this time to travel. Do something fun. Enjoy your life. Let me tell you, when you start medical school, you don't get much time to just, you know, travel for a month. Once you start that career, you don't get that same like freedom to just do whatever you want and explore. So your gap year is the best time to do it, to explore yourself, to do fun things, to, you know, sow your wild oats, and then, you know, come back and be like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to enter medical school. Let's go. And like that's something I want to do too. Like I think for me, and thinking of my second gap year, I definitely want to spend a month to travel before going to medical school because I just think it'd be something fun, something I've never done before, and I just want to say I've had different life experiences before committing all of me to a life of medicine. At the end of the day, you don't have to take a gap year if you don't want to, but I think for many good reasons, it will make you a more competitive applicant actually if you do take a gap year. And I think you will grow a lot more and you will become a more mature person. Like I've had so much growth, personal growth in this year that I've been away from school and college and like in this working world. I've learned so much about myself, how I relate with other people, who I am. I've been able to refine my reasonings for wanting to go into medicine, and I think I would not have had this perspective if I did not take time off. So you should do it. Like a year goes by really, really fast. I promise you, once you get old, time goes by so fast. Like I feel so old. I'm just kind of like, I feel like I graduated yesterday, and it's been past a year since I've graduated. Like I've been an adult for over a year, and I'm just like, whoa, time goes by really, really fast. So honestly, 1 to 2 gap years will not kill you. Anyways, I hope this video was, you know, informative, and I hope you were able to learn from it. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe.